In this episode, we're talking about tricking out your game, from protecting them, storing them, upgrading them, and modding them. We'll talk pros and cons, and we'll be using Christy's Post on Board Game Geek as a guide. Thanks, Christy.
Yeah, seriously, thanks, Christy.
Yeah.
So, as I've been saying for the last few episodes, I think maybe the last 6 or 7, we are putting the input into the next episode on Board Game Geek. So I put this out there, and Christy comes back with this post with pictures. Multiple segments.
It's amazing. Go check it out.
It's phenomenal.
Everyone listening.
So I'm like, oh, well, I don't really have to do the on-topic bullet points because we're just going to switch over to Board Game Geek and follow Christy's posts as we go through this. And we're literally going to do that. So, well.
Yeah, I mean,
Thanks
Chris
to
was
Christy.
even teasing me a little bit, saying, look, Christy's putting more work into the prep for these episodes than you are, Josh. You know, you're going to have to pull your weight at some point.
Yeah. And I'm not, it wasn't a joke, Josh.
No, I know.
Yeah, I was just observing.
I mean, Kitty was laughing, but I realized how serious you were.
No, it's definitely
I
serious.
know. I'm on thin ice. I get it.
The board is going to be talking about it on Thursday.
I bet. Oh, I'm going to have to bribe some more people.
So if you want to check out the thread we're talking about, go to tabletopgamechat.com/BGG and just go down to the episode 37, Tricking Out Your Game thread. You can also contribute to the bottom of that. Sam asked whether or not I check these after the show, and the fact of the matter is I do. I subscribe to all of them, so anytime you reply to any of these threads, I'll see it. So, and I like the fact there's like some conversations going on here. So this entire episode is going to be us reading segments of Christy's post and then commenting on them. I have a few things, but she did a better job than I ever could have. So, all right. I begin. I do all kinds of things to customize my games. Making and buying fun trinkets to enhance gameplay is one of my favorite ways to engage with the hobby besides playing a game. Disclaimer. This is about to sound like I'm shilling all kinds of things. I'm not affiliated with any of the companies or people listed below. I just love fun gaming components and accessories.
And neither are we.
And neither are we.
Yeah.
So these are recommendations. I'm going to throw out a couple. Actually, I'm going to throw out a single thing that I use, but most of the stuff is going to come from Christy. So we're going to start with where she starts, internal storage. Wooden inserts. I have broken tokens, ones for Dead of Winter, King of Tokyo, Ashes. For some games, such as Caverna, they are essential. Other companies, Meeple Reality, Daedalus, beware assembly of these things can endanger your marriage. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, you guys have never put together a broken token insert, have you?
No.
I have not.
So what these
I've
are...
put together IKEA furniture.
It's similar, just without any screwdrivers or hex wrenches or anything.
Or any instructions.
There's some instructions.
Okay.
So for people who aren't aware of, like, broken token is the big one because that's the first one, but there's some other ones as well, and you can just look for gaming inserts. It is kind of like a sheet of balsa wood. I don't think it's balsa. It's about 1/4 inch thick, but it's very light though, and it's laser cut. So they cut little. All the different pieces, and then you get them in several sheets. You punch out the wooden pieces, and then they fit together, and they fit pretty tight, so you don't need any glue or anything like that. And they're meant to fit in the box. So you put it all together, and then you put it in the box. And there's different, like, oftentimes there's pieces you can pull out, so you can play from them. There's trays, and
I'm assuming they're kind of agnostic to the particular game.
Nope,
There's just
they're
different
very,
lengths.
very specific to the game.
Oh, so you are literally
Very
like,
customized. I bought this for my Dead of Winter game.
Yep.
Right.
And it only works in the Dead of Winter box. It is cut to fit into that box and to hold those pieces.
I was going to
Yep.
say it would have to be like that. Yeah,
Yep.
that makes sense.
And everything has its place. And sometimes it'll say fits sleeved cards. Sometimes it'll say fits unsleeved cards. You might have the option of getting both. I have them for the Star Wars Living Card game because it's just there's so many cards. So I'm like, all right, well, this insert, and that one was easy to put together. The one for the name is escaping me, but if you're a Gloomhaven fan and you know there's one, I want to say Meeple Reality does an insert for the Gloomhaven box, which is guessing just probably an entire tree worth the wood because there's a lot going on there. So these things are really, really useful for games that you play a lot. If I usually just put everything in plastic bags and like split things up in my own way. But for a game that I'm going to open and close a lot of times, I may want to get one of these inserts. Like I said, the Living Card game is the only one I've actually gotten. But if we played Blood Rage more, I hear really good things about the Blood Rage insert. Scythe, also heard really good things about that. It just makes setting up and putting things back together a lot easier.
And the idea, I suppose, is that the dividers or whatever, if there even is any with each particular game, that the game comes with aren't particularly good. That's why this company has come in and made a better version of what the company originally provided you with. Is that why people are going to these things? Because it's like, oh, this setup, in the original box isn't
even
good.
That they're not necessarily good. Now, some of them just have what we call the canal insert, where you open up a box that's big, and then there's an insert inside of it that just squeezes everything into the middle of the box, right? So there's a canal down the middle. That's obviously not all that useful. Usually I just take that and toss it, and then I'll put everything in plastic bags, and then you have a lot of room in the box you can manipulate with. For a game publisher, it's really expensive. Custom inserts, like molded inserts, are like one of the most expensive things you can do for a game.
Right.
And so to do that, you really have to be going above and beyond. And even then, it's usually not that great either, because you can't necessarily put lids on it. If you look at Mechs vs. Minions, and I know that probably not a lot of people have, but it is one of the best. Actually, I'm not saying one of the. It is the best game I've ever seen that out of the box, everything goes back together. Everything has covers for the trays. It is amazing. That game, which only cost $75, which is ridiculously too cheap, was made by a company that makes over $1 billion a year.
Because they're a video game company.
Because they're a video game company that does League of Legends? League of Legends, right? Yeah, LOL. Yeah. Yep. And so they can do that because they have it. Most game companies can't
have the kind of money on hand to do that sort of thing.
So that's why you might get an insert, because if you really do play a game quite a bit, then you might do the insert method.
Makes sense.
So she also mentions you can buy or make foam core ones, which is you're basically buying foam and then carving out pieces that fit in there. Another awesome option, and they do work well. Container Store, if you need something very specific, but it's not cheap. Also for the win, colored player bags from boardgamestorage.com. I actually have not visited this, but I love the concept, and I will be going to this right after this podcast.
You already have so many plastic bags in your house.
I do. And I have plastic bags that I get from Amazon, and I actually have links on a few shows back. I get like the 4mm heavy-duty bags.
I actually heard Chris say to Sydney genuinely the other day, we don't use 1mm bags in this house.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's a true story.
Had to put his foot down there.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, talk about risking marriages.
I know.
Just try to put my pieces in a 1mm bag. Just try.
I've learned something valuable today.
It's a true story.
Right.
And then Plano boxes too, and these are just like your plastic boxes that you can put things in, and they come in various sizes and shapes. I will add that the Container Store is ridiculously expensive. I don't like the Container Store, and we're not talking about the liquor stores that may appear in some you may call a Container Store. We're talking actually a store that sells containers. Overpriced containers without a lot of options, ironically. I don't know. You've been to the Container Store?
I like the Container Store for larger storage
solutions, yeah.
I have a lot of really great options from them, but I like Joann Fabrics or Michaels. Yep. I think they've got a lot better options for small plastic containers.
Yep. And they're always on sale. Michaels, all their craft and bead storage are 50% off. And they that's what I put like
download
all
the
of
app,
my stuff
get
in.
the coupons.
Yep. So that's an option. Ponds. Jennifer Hamm makes the most beautiful glass ponds. Jennifer Hamm is the wife of Rado, who, well, I don't think that's not actually his name. That's his things. But Rado Runs Through is a podcast. And his wife does these little glass meeple thingies. And they're really, really cool. I just found out about these a few weeks ago, and I think I might have to look into those. It's actually another thing I kickstarted. I kickstarted Rado's Run Throughs video podcast, and one of the things you can do is get these glass beads from her.
So pawns come under sort of meeple category?
Yeah. Meeples, or just kind of player representation in general.
So, because I was going to say later on in 3D printed stuff, they've got minis down. So I didn't know if pawns is also minis or not. Are minis their own thing, really?
Yes. I think pawns are when you're using something to represent a character, and a mini is more of a representation of a character.
Okay.
A pawn is often used. There's more than one pawn on the board. Think
Right.
chess. You've got lots of pawns.
Right.
So meeples.
Right, like meeples. Right.
Yeah. So when you're playing Carcassonne, you're setting down your meeples all over the board. You want to be able to identify at a glance all of the ones that look like this are me.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas with minis, you can have 4 different kinds.
It's like a
of
big
figures.
troll monster that's on the board that's going to go rampaging.
Minis are just more detailed pawns.
Yeah.
For all intents and purposes.
But it feels different. I can see what you mean, though. It feels different than meeples because there's just it seems like in most games with the minis, there's less of them. Like they're big kind of, we've got a big mini here that's detailed and cool. It's the big monster Cthulhu or whatever.
Well, to be completely honest, so games that come with meeples or pawns or whatever the case, you could take that and replace them with minis. And that would be updating and tricking out your game. It's like, I'm going to use these minis from this other game, and I'm going to make them be the attack or the monsters in my game.
I think the Carcassonne Princess and the Dragon game needs a better dragon mini. And I think we can do that.
Yeah.
I just thought of that, and I was like, yes.
Well, I mean, you could get like little knights and stuff for actual miniatures for your characters,
I do think with games like Carcassonne, you need to have uniformity among your minis.
Yes.
They have to all
at least in color.
Definitely in color. So you can glance at the board and know, Chris is beating me, I have to take him down.
Yeah, exactly. But the size of it, like a lot of times miniatures are 1-inch size, but there are many games that have smaller size miniatures. And if those games aren't as fun for you, but you've already dropped $75 on it, take it out. Use it for other stuff.
Assault of the Giants has some really fun minis.
Yes, but those Assault of the Giants are really big.
Well, some of they come in like 3 sizes, I thought.
Well, they come with the giant size, and they come with the really tiny. So there's the 3 giant layers.
The little guys.
Yeah, the little guys.
Maybe I'm thinking of a different game.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know.
But the pawns,
continue talking.
Yeah, but the pawns are a good thing. Now, there are certain games that come with like small little like mass miniatures, like mass amounts of zombies or mass amount of this or that. And if suddenly you're like, okay, I'm not playing this game anymore, or for some reason I just don't need it, I will, and I'm sort of skipping ahead here, but I think it comes under pawn upgrades. You can get, I have spray paint, which is like a white spray primer. You put those all down, little poster tack to put them to like a piece of cardboard, prime them all white. And then once they're all primed, and you just use the spray primer so you can do them all at once, then you can paint them the particular player colors. Now you have a set of pawns for Carcassonne, or basically just kind of meeple replacements, and they're zombie meeple replacements.
I was going to say I want to play zombie Carcassonne now, Chris.
Exactly. So like something as simple as that. And you can also take, if you do have characters, like a lot of people will have, I'm going to paint my miniatures game. Not nobody, but most people do not have the time, energy, or even maybe possibly just talent to paint all of the minis in a typical like Cool Mini or Not game. But what you can do, again, spray primer them. So you put them all out there. You paint the base a particular color. So if they're player specific, a lot of Cool Mini or Not, they actually have bases you can put them in. But if they were player specific, you can paint the base the solid color, which is easy. Then you take a wash, which is a really watered down paint. Typically, you'll have a black wash is really easy, but you can get washes in lots of different colors. And a wash is just something you take a brush and you just kind of paint over, just put it all over the mini. And it gets into the recesses, which highlights all the details in the mini. And that's it. And at that point, you're done. You don't have to do anything else. These are still really cool minis. In fact, I'm going to do it for Scythe. And probably relatively soon, because I tried to do a wash on Scythe, but I'm like, no, I need to do a primer first. So I'm going to do it for Scythe, and I'll put some pictures up at some point, I promise. I have 4 more minis. I just did one today for Gloomhaven that I have to finish, but as soon as I'm done with that, I'll do Scythe next, and then we can see those.
We have to talk about the poops.
Yes. So,
yes.
I love these.
So this is back to Christy. I also have a set of rainbow-colored Polymer Clay unicorn poo that are hilarious to use as pawns, meeples in whatever, including heavy games with drab color schemes, and I never have to wonder which color I am. Meeple sources are great, although the character meeples are pretty small, or just pilfer minis from other games in your game. So Meeple source is awesome as well. And unicorn poop is awesome. Do you want to talk about your unicorn poop cookies?
I made unicorn poop cookies, and they were hilarious and awesome, and nobody wanted to eat them, but they were delicious, so everyone did.
That is true. That is true. Upgraded resource bits. I do this quite a bit. I go to the Game Crafter, which you can just go through, and there's tons and tons of stock game components. I have plastic cubes of every color. I have plastic gems of every color. I have wooden meeples of every color. I like lots of different little plastic bits and bobs. And anytime a game has something that's like, I don't like this particular component, it's cardboard resource chips or whatever, I'll grab those. Life counters, I will always use the little plastic ones over anything else, except for Cool Mini or not, because they have the little stand-up hearts. So if it's like a dozen or less life, I'll use the little stand-up hearts for those.
We use these a lot in our role-playing games as kind of cover or bits on the board. You can't stand in this square because it has a bush, something like that, that you don't want to spend your time drawing a map for forever. And you can just kind of scatter these and make it like look more like a real scene that you would walk into. I think that's really fun. Yeah.
And they're three-dimensional because like in a role-playing game, you have a stand-up minis and these things add some depth to it. If I put down some like green plastic crystal-y things, it looks more like a bush than if I just like do a little loop-to-loop in a black pen or something. So let's see what Christy has to say here. Stonemeyer treasure chest is great if you play a lot of Euros. I don't know this, but I need to find out.
Oh, Christy, you just gave Chris like such a shopping list on this.
His habit is just going to go off the rails again.
Trust me.
You've been doing so well for so long.
No. This is, thanks, Christy. I'm right back into it. And I say thanks not in a bad way. I think saying things in a really good way.
We'll see what see what Sydney, your fiance, has to say about this.
Yeah. Speaking of, Kickstarter, this is her words, not mine, sometimes has deluxe editions and or stretch goals that involve custom bits. Oh, don't I know about the stretch goals and deluxe versions?
Your coins.
Oh, yes. Seafall. So, and we'll talk about metal coins a little bit later, but it's kind of related here. So Seafall, and we talked about it last week, but if you pre-ordered Seafall or Kickstarted it, you would get a chest of metal coins in 1, 5s, and 10s. And they're very generic. Like they don't say Seafall on them or anything. There's no branding on them whatsoever. It's just 1, 5, and 10 in different colors. I use those for a lot of different things because they're nice and flat. They're a good feel. And they are my Gloomhaven currency. And they are perfect for Gloomhaven currency. I pull them. You get a little plastic bag. You put them in there. So from scenario to scenario, you have all your currency. And you spend your currency to get your equipment. It's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about coins here. I remember there's a post a bit further down that talks about an idea for having, if you have custom coins, for each different game, they might be different denominations, and it can get quite confusing. Like, okay, so what denomination am I going to use? And he had this idea that you could have an overlay for each game. So a little stand-up piece of card that says the game's name on it, and then has a description of which coins are going to be used for which denominations, which I really liked, because then you could just switch out the overlays whenever you wanted.
Yep. Steve says, so I've been thinking about the best to use one set of coins for all games, but thinking about this thread, the other ways to improve the game, it hit me. Overlays. So essentially what he did is has a tray, but then he creates an overlay for each one. So you take out the same tray, but now for this, you have like a player reference card for what each type of coin represents.
And he's even got pictures here. So you can go to the Board Game Geek thread and have a look at what he's done to really visualize it.
Yeah, Steve, I think what it would be cool is if you take each one of those coins, so there's like 6 different coins here, and photocopy it. And then you can make multiple copies of it. And then you can write from each game, and it's like an exact picture of the coin that represents that particular piece.
Gotcha.
Yep. So yeah, metal coins are great. Now I will go on record of saying, and because I'm already on record of saying it, This was, I don't know, a few months ago. We got a question that basically said, game upgrades. Do you do it? Doesn't matter. And at the time, and I still kind of say that for most things, upgrading your components isn't going to change the game. It's not going to make the game better or worse. And in some cases, it doesn't even make the game more immersive. The reason I primarily do it is to make the game easier to play and understand. So if everything's a little cardboard bit, it can get confusing. Like, oh, wait, what cardboard bit is that for? What is that for? If it's hard to grab like the life bits or whatever, if I use something that's more tactile and 3D, those are the reasons why I might upgrade my game specifically. Everything else is just kind of, now I really love Gloomhaven, so I've done a ton of stuff with that, more so than any other game. And I've done that because I like just want to get so immersed in it. But most games I do it because it just makes it easier to play.
Yeah, because I was going to say, like, when I was at the conventions for the first time last summer, I was seeing all of these different companies that make all these bits, these different upgrades. And I was thinking, you know, part of me was thinking, isn't this a little bit like, I don't know, exploitative? Like, you know, they're making all these shiny things that people are going to want to buy and they're really expensive. I mean, I know some people really want them, but also it felt like they were just like, oh, here's more stuff you can throw your money at, you know, for the addicts like you out there. I don't know if that's, you know, a valid point or not. You know, is it a little bit like
a company called Campaign Coins? That's their whole business model. Right. I'm going to sell you fake currency that's metallic and has all kinds of different options and cool things.
Yeah.
I'm going to charge you more than you would spend for real currency. And it works. I just bought more for Gloomhaven.
Yeah, that's a good idea for upgrading. You could just go, your coins, you could just go to the local currency exchange and like get some pounds and pence out. There's so many different coins in the UK. Let me tell you, you should really upgrade to some sterling.
The coins in the UK are so confusing. They are
awesome.
More confusing than game currency.
No, they've got different sides.
How many?
They've got different sides. They're not all round.
In
okay, now you're going back to like the 1900s.
I don't understand any of this.
Like, some of them are like hexagons, and then some of them are like pentagons, and then there's this new pound coin that's come out with 12 sides. I don't even know what they call that thing.
A 12-agon.
Yeah, that's it. That's the scientific name for it. And so, you know, and they're all different colors and things. It's great.
I could go to decagon. After that, I get lost. Yeah. Decaduagon?
Oh, geez.
Probably.
But I mean, that's an idea.
It's actually a great idea. So maybe you don't go British coins, although it would be totally fine. Yeah. Any foreign currency looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastical. If you're not familiar with it.
Yeah.
You know, we're really close to Canada. Canada coins are very, very similar to US, so that's probably not a good example. But Japanese coins, perfect.
I was
Chinese.
going to say, any Asian currency, they've all got holes and stuff in them.
Yep. Yeah. In fact, that's what Steve's coins are. I believe this is a set of Japanese currency that he's got.
Cool.
Oh, nice.
So, and then he's just using those to represent game coins. So, and they're different weights, different consistencies, different sizes. So foreign currency is great, and it's cheap because it's literally cheaper than having someone else make fake currency for you. All right, let's see. So that was component upgrades. Storage at the table. Bamboo large condiment cups on Amazon and/or silicone muffin liners to hold your bits at the table. So these are essentially, a lot of games have tons and tons of cubes and components and stuff. Throw them in little containers so they're easy to throw back in and pull back out.
Yeah, these bamboo ones look pretty good that she's got the pictures of.
Yeah.
This does rob me of one of my favorite parts of the game, which is stacking and moving my components into cool positions while I wait for Josh to take his turn.
Yeah.
I can't make little pyramids of meeples.
I'm giving you a gift.
We will make you the banker, though. And then you can have all the bowls in front of you, and you can dull them out.
I was thinking, because she says silicone muffin liners, I was thinking that would look a bit silly as sat on the table, like wouldn't look as nice, maybe. Because like these bamboo condiment trays she's put here look really nice, but I don't know, silicone muffin things?
So they're just like little cups. They're like ruffled around the edges, and they come in lots of different colors.
Yeah,
that might be nice because each player could have their own color too.
Or each resource, like if you have different colored resource cubes,
right,
then each one would be in the matching color muffin
And it's
liner.
something that people will probably have in the house already. Like, I doubt many people are going to have oversized condiment trays just already lying around in their house.
Don't judge me.
Well, I'm just saying, I think the muffin things would be more common, so I can see why that'd be useful.
I don't know about the silicone ones. The paper ones are what most people
But they
use.
are
the
easy to
foil ones.
find.
They are very easy to find. You can get them on Amazon super easy.
Yeah, and just about
and
any
they don't
grocery store.
slide around.
Yep.
I just think they look silly with all the crinkly edges. These bamboo ones look way better.
All right, fine. You're all on bamboo. We
It's
got it.
aesthetic
Yeah.
choices at this point.
Exactly. I'm all minimalist Asian looks here. I'm having that.
All right, Christy, I do not condone anything that Josh is saying right now. Let's see. So moving on, playmats. You can get a massive sheet of neoprene suitable for splitting between 2 or maybe even 3 households, depending on the table size. We don't use ours as often as we should, and it is a lint magnet, but we enjoy it when we do pull it out. I have one. If you look at any of our YouTube videos, you'll see I have a kind of like a space 3 foot by 3 foot mat on my table, and it looks really cool anytime you're playing anything space. You just kind of forget it when you're playing anything else. But I was just at the game store today, and I was looking at a 3 foot by 3 foot, like a grassy plane. I'm trying to convince Sydney that no, this would be good because then we can swap it out depending on the type of game we're playing. I'm going to eventually do it. But
Nice.
I'm also one of those, I have a little bit of OCD. So my mat is from Gamer Mats. And the one I was looking at was from Fantasy Flight. And I don't want them to be different material and different things. So I'm going to go to Gamer Mats and get something just...
Wow.
I know.
That's a detail-oriented
I
person
know.
right there. No, it's fine.
It's not everything, but every once in a while, it's just like, I want consistency.
Chris is getting so many judgmental looks right now.
But I do agree that the playmats are awesome. Because when you put stuff on this playmat, it's really easy to pick things off. Rolling dice on it is great. It doesn't make this clattering sound. They roll nicer. They bounce not a ton, but just enough. In fact, I will say, I'm going to add this in here. I just picked up from Chip Theory Games a lay flat rolling thing. So essentially what this does is it unsnaps into a flat piece, and then you can put it up and it creates a little kind of bucket for dice to be rolled in. And for people who are dice challenged, and we all have those or maybe are those, where for some reason you just can't roll dice that don't fall off the table, a dice tray might be a good accessory.
Were you giving us side glances when you were saying something?
No, I'm looking straight at you,
I was
actually.
going to say, I roll dice very nicely.
Look, I get really excited when we play these games. I just get really enthusiastic when I'm throwing the dices around.
Yeah, and the wall behind me knows about it.
They love it.
I just like it when we get to shout Jumanji and take the result from the floor.
Yeah. Yep.
We
a fun
haven't
one.
done that yet. I haven't been here when you last did it.
Josh has a bit of a cold, so he's losing his voice.
Yeah, you may have heard me coughing in the background as well. I apologize.
We're going to blame the sniffling on you, too, and not even mention my allergies.
She goes on, card holders. Uberstack's modular system of plastic sleeves so you can build whatever design you want to hold your cards while you play. They're lovely wooden ones on Etsy as well. I don't know about these.
Uh-oh.
Like up until now, it's like, okay, maybe I know about these.
Never
and-
ventured into Etsy before.
Well, Etsy, yes. I've done a number of Etsy things, but I haven't seen like card holders. No, that's not entirely true. I have this one that looks like a semicircle that you can put your cards in. So like it holds the hand of cards and it has like little slots in it. So you just put it there. And for some reason, I've never really found it all that useful. I feel like I can hold my cards as well. But for certain games where you always have like the same cards or something, actually for Gloomhaven, because you have a hand that you're managing and you can, oh, Christy, what are you doing to me?
Yeah.
She has an entire section on stuff to make. Player aids. This is a great one. Board Game Geek is fantastic for referencing files on player aids. Is there a complicated game where you just want like a quick rule summary and it's like, oh man, if only I had a summary of all of the scythe rules. Board Game Geek has it. Gloomhaven, if only I could have something that would help me walk through the very first game I'd played. There it is. A campaign tracker, already there. Arcadia Quest, files up the wazoo. Player aids are probably one of the best things you can get, especially if you want to introduce complicated games to new players. And you just print them out and you're good to go. If you have a laminator, and I do,
Of
then
course.
you can print them out and laminate them.
Laminating things is so much fun.
It is
is
so
pretty
much fun.
cool. Yeah, I'll give you that.
And it sounds expensive to have a laminator. It isn't. Go to Staples. They're about $30.
The one sheet, the letter-sized ones.
Yep.
We're not recommending you go out and get the full
Yeah, don't get a poster
size.
laminator. Just go to
That's-
Kinko's or Staples for that one.
But the letter paper-sized ones that you can do anything from the size of a card up to a sheet of paper and everything in between.
Yep.
They're amazing. Get one.
Yeah.
You laminate everything. It's amazing.
Yeah, the laminator's like super cheap. The sleeves are a little bit expensive, but not even. You
can
get like
them pretty reasonably
Yeah.
priced on Amazon.
you get like 100 sheets for maybe $20 or something like that, which is more than enough to do most of your laminating. And it comes in 3mm and 5mm. The 3mm is what you would think of if you've ever gotten something laminated in school. The 5mm is like these really sturdy. These are like backstage passes type lamination thickness. Always something worth. Painting minis. So Kitty mentions this a lot. She likes to paint minis.
I love to paint minis, but I am not an efficient painter. I
No.
will take 6 hours to paint one character because I am incredibly detail oriented.
Yeah.
Chris is much more of the
I'm down to about
factory painter.
Yeah, well, not factory, but I can do about 2 hours and have something that I consider like really nice. It took me, my very first one took like 6 to 8 hours though, and it takes practice to get there. 2 hours a mini is still way too much to paint like, 65 minis in the box. So listen to 20 minutes ago when I said how you can kind of do a mass painting and just get something that's better than one color plastic.
Give it a little dimension, not as flat. But if it's something like Gloomhaven, Chris has been painting all of his Gloomhaven minis. If you're doing a D&D campaign and you know you're going to be playing the same character for a long time, go ahead, spend that. Gosh, I don't even remember how long it took me to paint.
I think we did like 4 or 5, 6 hours.
I think I did 6 hours for my mounted character
Yeah.
and maybe 4 for my regular character.
Yeah. I know I did 2 or 3 in the time it took you to do the one.
That mounted mini was both intense and looks real good, if I do say so myself.
I love it. I love it. But yeah, Gloomhaven has 18 miniatures in the box, and I will eventually play them all. Now, that one, I am painting them, so I know what the art looks like. I know what the minis look like, but then I put them back in the box. So when Sydney and Sarah get to them, well, Sydney, I'm always showing, it's like, compare the pictures, because I have to have some kind of immediate feedback. But Sarah hasn't seen anything, so part of it is like, she gets to unlock and see a painted miniature come out of the box as opposed to the plastic one. Most games, you're not worried about spoilers on the minis, though. So you can, if you're going to play it a lot, it's worth trying it out. Josh, you like painted minis, right?
Well, I mean, I was saving my comment for the 3D printed stuff, but I was wondering how much customization is available in all of these areas. It's like we're kind of entering the sort of 3D printing age where you can kind of customize things and make things. Are companies doing this sort of thing where you can like pre-order like exactly what you want for certain things?
Hero Forge does amazing customized minis. You can go in there and basically start with almost a stick figure and make it into any kind of character, any kind of armor, clothes, weapons, really pick a pose, a facial expression. It's very customizable. They do a really good job. I'm not sure if there are any other companies out there doing that same kind of thing.
As far as I know, Hero Forge is the only one that does it to the point where they have a online, you go and you design your mini,
right.
and it's super, super simple.
Right.
It's not like you're
It's
3D
really fun.
drawing it or anything. But yeah, super simple options, and then they print it and send it to you. And it's about $35 for the quality that I would recommend. You can get cheap ones that are like $20 or so, but they're kind of more like plastic blobs.
You lose the detail. It's not as much fun to paint, and it's not that much more expensive to go up to the really detailed, good-looking level.
Right.
And they look really good, and they're really fun.
Yeah, and for
Nice.
$5 more, you can get them in metal.
That's cool.
And the metal, again, you lose the detail, but you have a metal miniature. And the detail's actually not that bad. It's rougher. It's definitely like a rougher texture. So my D&D campaign, I think I mentioned this, I don't know, months ago, but I painted all of them from the very cheapest to the very most expensive. Well, not true. We never painted any of the bronze ones. No one got a bronze one. Those are $100 a mini. But all of the other ones I painted. And they all work fairly well. The cheapest ones are you have to paint it to even see any detail, and even then it gets a little washed out.
So it sounds like there's, I mean, they sound really cool, but it sounds like it's not like full customization. You couldn't make like an octopus with a lion's head sort of.
No.
Right,
They
kind
are
of thing.
all humanoid.
Right, yeah. So it's like an avatar for like an role-playing game. I also remember a company that you made some cards from to play Homeworlds, like a real travel version.
Yep. So I believe it's actually called like make playing cards or something like that. If you Google, and I kind of start it over every time I do it, but Google custom playing cards, you can get cards printed up for this stuff. And in that case, what you're doing is you're just sending it image files. Right. And most of these companies are not checking copyright and things like that. So if you're just doing a small batch, I want to reprint all of this particular card on plastic cards or mini cards or full-size cards, and you have the files, they'll print them for you. Now, I will say it's best to just go ask the designer if you can do it, because more often than not, if they're saying if it's for personal use, they're going to be like, yeah, no problem. Also, they may say, oh, by the way, here's some images that'll look better if you're going to print those cards, and they'll just give you that stuff. These designers are just people too, so anybody who can help them, spread the word, it works. So yeah, I will sometimes get custom cards printed up. Right. Just to be placeholders for things, more portable or easier to track stuff.
Nice.
Polymer clay bits. Again, this is Christy. These do not have to be fancy as the custom agricola families or whatever, with some have seen, but you can pick up random pack or Sculpey, SCULPEY or whatever brand, polymer clay sculpts. So basically these are you can use acrylics, mini paint on them. So I'm not familiar with these either, but it sounds really cool.
So you start with the clay and then you basically bake it, and so it goes really hard after you finish sculpting it. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can just go to like Michael's and get polymer clay and make your own things, as well as buy polymer clay things that other people have made. I love to play with polymer clay. It's really fun.
Because then you've got much more customization. Like I was saying, you probably could make a octopus with a lion's head with that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But you have to be capable of doing that.
Yeah,
sure.
3D sculpting is a tricky thing. It's not like, here's this easy thing you can do.
Yeah. But for the artists out there, I'm sure they could give it a bit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, you can mod just about anything. You start with something that's already there. It's like, I just wish there was a tentacle coming out of his chest.
Right.
You can add that in pretty easily.
Yeah. I like that.
Yep. She mentions dice trays. Hers is, the one I got from Chip Theory is about $15. But if you want a cheaper option, you can go to Michael's, get a, what are those? Shadow box, the shadow box things, and you can kind of just use that, put some felt down, and you can use that as a makeshift dice tray.
I bet Michael's has a ton of stuff that you could use as a dice tray. Go wander Michael's. It's a fun store.
I wander Michael's probably at least once a month, and just to see, they have like terrain bits. Actually, it's surprised that nobody mentioned this, but Michael's has like railroad train or like kids' toys for trees and rocks and things. You can get
Lots
those
of model building stuff.
Yeah, model building stuff. You can get those, and you can make those as part of the atmosphere. Again, I'm going to go back to Gloomhaven, but they have like little cardboard rocks and cardboard miscellaneous things for all kinds of stuff. If you make them 3D, suddenly it just like pops out of the board, and it becomes something that you're interacting with your little 3D figures.
You should get some moss, like floral fake moss stuff. Yes. That would be really fun.
Yep. And then 3D printed stuff. So we have a 3D printer at work. I haven't used it.
Lots of public libraries are getting 3D printers too. Yep. If you are interested in that, go talk to your friendly librarian. My dad is all aboard doing that. He's a librarian in Downers Grove. So
also, Staples, I hear.
Oh.
There are certain Staples and probably Kinko's and stuff that have 3D printers, so they'll 3D print things for you. Now, they still charge something like 50 cents a color copy, so I'm guessing their 3D prints are not super cheap, but if you just want a one-off, they can probably help you out there. And there's places that you can download 3D models that, you don't have to make the 3D model. You can say, oh, here's the sculpt, and they're like 3D, they're kind of like PDFs, but for 3D. Again, available on Board Game Geek for a lot of the games. There's like stands for Gloomhaven. I'm sorry, guys. I'm addicted to Gloomhaven. But there's what?
Put down your tray. You're distracting me.
My tray. All right, I'm putting down the tray. But yeah, so you can download these files that are like these standees for specific games and stuff like that. Wow, we could keep going on forever, but since we're already 5 minutes over,
might be time to wrap it up.
There's one more question I do want to get to, though, and this is from Sam. Is there a point where upgrades are unnecessary and distracting? And I think that's a good question. And I think the answer is, nah. I mean, if you're upgrading the game while you're playing it, then maybe. If you spend more time fiddling with your upgrade because it's not working, then yeah.
If it takes you longer to set up the game than it takes you to play it, you are spending too much time on your setup and fiddly bits.
I could see you like making a mistake, like you don't like one component, you swap it out for another, but they're not a good proxy for that component, and then other people who have played the game are like, wait, what are these bits? Like, I don't know. Oh, those are meant to be the wood. What? That looks nothing like the wood. I don't know. It's an edge case, but...
Yeah, but it's a good point. Like I said at the beginning, I upgrade my games to make it easier to play. And if immersion is getting in the way of ease of play, then you've probably gone the wrong direction. But otherwise, if you're just having fun upgrading your game between play sessions and it's not interfering with the play at all, I say have at it. Like, we don't all get to play board games as often as we like.
People should be allowed to upgrade their games or shuffle their cards however they like.
No, Josh, you still shuffle cards wrong.
So does Chris.
Ridiculous.
What?
I'm the only one who can do a bridge here.
Only one that wants to do a bridge.
Okay, seriously, I need feedback on this. Should you be bridging your cards?
I think Chris is worried about bending them.
No, because when you shuffle, you bend them one way, and when you bridge, you bend them the other. So it's a net flattening effect.
I don't think Chris is on board with this.
So if you're bending your cards so much when you do a shuffle, then you're just bending too hard. Our next episode, how to shuffle cards.
Weigh in.
Thanks everyone for your feedback. The thread is actually really interesting. There's some good conversation here. This topic was bigger than I anticipated because there's so many cool things you can do. So on that note, we will not subject you to any more of our card shuffling shenanigans. Unless there's anything else to cover.
No good.
All right, Josh. I'm going to try to press the right button this time.
Well, thanks for listening. And remember, we love your feedback, so consider leaving us an iTunes review. Email us with comments and questions at tabletopgametalk@gmail.com and visit us at the site tabletopgametalk.com to learn more about becoming part of the conversation. Finally, a huge thank you to all of our patrons: Emil Giljam, Shane Paul, George, Tom Bly, Jason Strong, Lucas Hartso, Michael Oll, Josh Arntz, Trevor Olson, Brian Arnold, Sean Kelly, Joseph Lee, John Merkel, Daniel Shepard, C. Marie, Rudy Liu, Benjamin Heimovitz, Jerry Huang, Alex Brown, and Mike Smith. If you'd like to support us via Patreon and be auto-entered into all of our giveaways, you can find more at tabletopgametalk.com/Patreon. Until next week, when we'll be talking about trick-taking games, please keep playing games and having fun.
Good night.
Why'd you have to be such a card shuffling Nazi?
No, you can't.
We forgot to tell people I won this week.
Oh, that's not important.
I won.
Well, it's because you shuffled the cards bad.